Trapped in a gilded cage, Kim Jong Un's wife lives like royalty, yet remains the most beautiful prisoner in the world. Ri Sol-ju's journey to becoming North Korea's first lady is anything but ordinary. Born sometime between 1985 and 1989 in Chongjin, North Korea, she didn't grow up in the poverty that defines most North Korean lives. Instead, she was born into privilege. Her mother headed a gynecology ward. Her father was a respected professor, and young Ri had access to something most North Koreans could only dream of: opportunity. Here's where the story gets fascinating. Ri Sol-ju wasn't destined for political life. She was an artist with a voice that could silence entire concert halls. As a member of the elite Unhasu Orchestra, she performed patriotic songs with such grace and emotion that even the regime's hardest critics couldn't deny her talent. She studied vocal music abroad in China, performed internationally, and for a brief moment it seemed like she might carve out her own path in the world. But then came 2005, and here's a detail that will give you chills. Ri Sol-ju actually visited South Korea as part of a North Korean cheerleading squad during the Asian Athletics Championships. She stood in South Korean stadiums, waving flags and chanting, "We are one," with 89 other cheerleaders, completely unaware that this would be her last taste of anything resembling freedom. Can you imagine the irony? The future First Lady of North Korea's most isolated regime once stood on South Korean soil, dreaming of reunification. Fast forward to 2012, and the world suddenly met a completely different woman. Gone was the singer. In her place stood a figure of such polished perfection that she seemed almost too flawless to be real. When North Korean state media finally announced her marriage to Kim Jong Un, they revealed not just a wife, but a carefully crafted symbol of modern North Korean elegance. And what a symbol she became! Let's talk about the lifestyle that makes Dubai's elite look understated. Ri Sol-ju's primary residence is the Ryeongsong Palace, a 12-square-kilometer fortress that redefines luxury. We're talking about an Olympic-sized swimming pool with a giant water slide, private horse racing tracks, gold-plated banquet halls, and underground bunkers reinforced with steel and lead that could survive a nuclear attack. But the extravagance doesn't stop there. When the Supreme Leader's wife wants a change of scenery, she can retreat to the Wonsan Summer Palace, part of a $1.5 billion project that combines a luxury resort with a top-secret military base. Picture infinity pools, private airports, and parties featuring the world's most expensive imported wines, all while the majority of North Korea's population struggles to find basic necessities. Her fashion alone tells a story of unprecedented luxury. That black Dior clutch she's often photographed with? It costs $1,594, more than most North Koreans earn in several years. Her red Valentino coats, Swiss Movado watches, and carefully curated wardrobe represent a level of extravagance that would make fashion influencers jealous. Yet here's the twist that makes this story so compelling. Every single item she wears, every appearance she makes, every smile she shows, it's all choreographed, controlled, and calculated to the second. Now here's where the billionaire lifestyle takes a dark turn. Because Ri Sol-ju's story isn't really about wealth. It's about control so absolute it would terrify anyone who values basic human freedom. Despite living in palaces that rival anything in Monaco or Dubai, she cannot leave, not even for a walk, without explicit permission. She has no phone, no social media, no contact with old friends or family members. Even her hairstyle must be approved in advance, and according to sources, she must notify guards before using the bathroom. Think about that for a moment. A woman who owns handbags worth thousands of dollars cannot make the most basic personal decisions about her own body. She lives beside swimming pools and luxury spas, but exists under 24/7 surveillance that monitors her every movement. This isn't marriage. It's a gilded contract for survival in a system where divorce simply doesn't exist. The psychological toll becomes evident when you realize that Ri Sol-ju, who once moved audiences with her emotional performances, hasn't been seen showing genuine emotion in over a decade. Every public appearance is theater, 3-second smiles, precise head tilts, and choreographed responses that would make professional actors exhausted. She's become a living symbol, but symbols aren't allowed to be human. But perhaps the most intriguing aspect of Ri Sol-ju's story is her role as a mother, because this might be the only area where she still exercises real influence. Her daughter, Kim Jong-un, made international headlines when she appeared publicly for the first time in 2022 at a missile launch. A 10-year-old girl watching weapons of mass destruction with the calm composure of someone being groomed for power. The parallels are haunting. Just as Ri Sol-ju was once trained in ballet, speech, and public presentation, she's now passing those same skills to her daughter. But there's a crucial difference. Where Ri Sol-ju had her identity erased, she might be ensuring her daughter is strong enough to maintain hers. But Ri Sol-ju doesn't operate in a vacuum, and here's where the story gets politically explosive. Kim Yo-jong, Kim Jong Un's sister, represents everything Ri Sol-ju is not. Sharp where Ri is soft, political where Ri is symbolic, and increasingly powerful in her own right. While Ri Sol-ju appears in elegant dresses at cultural events, Kim Yo-jong issues statements that can determine international relations. The tension between these two women represents a fascinating power struggle happening in plain sight. When South Korea released materials critical of Ri Sol-ju in 2020, North Korea's response wasn't diplomatic protests. They blew up the Inter-Korean Liaison Office. Many analysts believe Kim Yo-jong orchestrated this dramatic response, sending a clear message about protecting the regime's image. What makes this dynamic so compelling is that both women understand they're playing a zero-sum game. This erasure goes beyond simple image management. Ri Sol-ju lost her name, her history, her voice, and ultimately her right to be remembered as a person rather than a symbol. Today, Ri Sol-ju exists as perhaps the most expensive piece of living art in the world, a carefully curated symbol of North Korean modernity that costs millions to maintain but can never be sold, traded, or retired. Her fashion choices are analyzed by intelligence agencies, her public appearances dissected for political meaning, and her silence interpreted as either submission or strategic patience. But here's the question that makes this story so endlessly fascinating. In a world where everything is controlled, where every smile is scheduled and every gesture choreographed, what happens to the person underneath? Does the woman who once sang with such passion still exist somewhere beneath the perfect First Lady facade, or has the symbol completely consumed the person who created it? As we watch Ri Sol-ju continue her carefully orchestrated public life, one thing becomes clear. She represents the ultimate paradox of absolute power. She has access to more luxury than most people can imagine, yet possesses less freedom than almost anyone on Earth. She's married to one of the world's most powerful men, yet remains powerless to make the most basic choices about her own existence. In the end, Ri Sol-ju's story isn't really about billionaire lifestyles or political intrigue. It's about the price we pay when we surrender our authentic selves for security, status, or survival. Whether she's a willing participant in this grand performance or simply the world's most elegant prisoner remains one of North Korea's most closely guarded secrets. But one thing is certain. Behind every perfectly timed smile and precisely chosen outfit lies a story more complex and compelling than any palace she'll ever call home. And maybe, just maybe, that's the greatest tragedy of all. For a woman born with the voice to stir emotion, her life now echoes in silence. The halls of Ringsong Palace may be lined with silk and stone, but they reflect only the image the regime wants the world to see, never the woman behind it. Ri Sol-ju's quiet resistance may not be loud, but it exists in the way she nurtures her daughter, in the softness of her gaze, in the moments where the mask slips, even for just a second. Perhaps history will remember her not just as a puppet of propaganda, but as someone who carried grace in captivity. If Kim Jong-un does one day rise to power, she won't only carry the legacy of the Kim dynasty, she will carry the silent strength of her mother, a strength forged not in war rooms, but in whispered lullabies behind palace walls. So, What are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more such content.